The following is a reading of The Road to Serfdom in Cartoons, loosely based on the book by Friedrich Hayek. It was originally published in Look magazine and later republished in pamphlet form by General Motors. In his introduction to The Road to Serfdom, historian Bruce Caldwell mentions these cartoons jokingly and suggests that Hayek himself probably thought these cartoons were an oversimplification of his views. That being said, I'm personally very interested in the history of both cartooning and economics, so I thought it would be fun to create an audiobook of this interesting little pamphlet. So far, I have not been able to find the name of the cartoonist. Please note that the cartoon edition is not a replacement for reading the original book, though if you want a good summary of the book, you might consider checking out the Reader's Digest edition, which Hayek himself praised as a quality work of summary. With that, here is The Road to Serfdom in Cartoons. Part 1. War Forces National Planning. To permit total mobilization of your country's economy, you gladly surrender many freedoms. You know regimentation was forced by your country's enemies. Stay on the job. WPB. Part 2. Many want planning to stay. Arguments for a peace production board are heard before the war ends. Wartime planners who want to stay in power encourage the idea. What's good in war is good in peace. Part 3. The planners promise utopias. A rosy plan for farmers goes well in rural areas. A plan for industrial workers is popular in cities, and so on. Many new planners are elected to office. Part 4. But they can't agree on one utopia. With peace, a new legislature meets, but when the war unity is gone, the planners nearly come to blows. Each has his own pet plan, won't budge. Part 5. And citizens can't agree either. When the planners finally patch up a temporary plan months later, citizens in turn disagree. What the farmer likes, the factory worker doesn't like. Part 6. Planners hate to force agreement. Most national planners are well-meaning idealists, balk at any use of force. They hope for some miracle of public agreement as to their patchwork plan. Part 7. They try to sell the plan to all. In an unsuccessful effort to educate people to uniform views, planners establish a giant propaganda machine, which coming dictator will find handy. Part 8. The gullible do find agreement. Meanwhile, growing national confusion leads to protest meetings. The least educated, thrilled and convinced by a fiery oratory, form a party. Part 9. Confidence in planners fades. The more that the planners improvise, the greater the disturbance to normal business. Everybody suffers. People now feel, rightly, that planners can't get things done. Let's get a man who can make a plan work. Part 10. The strong man is given power. In desperation, planners authorize the new party leader to hammer out a plan and force its obedience. Later, they'll dispense with him. Or so they think. Part 11. The party takes over the country. By now, confusion is so great that obedience to the new leader must be obtained at all costs. Maybe you join the party yourself to aid national unity. Part 12. A negative aim welds party unity. Early step of all dictators is to inflame the majority in common cause against some scapegoat minority. In Germany, the negative aim was anti-Semitism. Part 13. No one opposes the leader's plan. It would be suicide. New secret police are ruthless. Ability to force obedience always becomes the number one virtue in the planned state. Now all freedom is gone. Part 14. Your profession is planned. The wider job choice promised by now defunct planners turns out to be a tragic farce. Planners never have delivered, never will be able to. But I'm not a carpenter. I'm a plumber. Part 15. Your wages are planned. Divisions of the wage scale must be arbitrary and rigid. Running a planned state from central headquarters is clumsy, unfair, inefficient. Part 16. Your thinking is planned. In the dictatorship, unintentionally created by the planners, there is no room for difference of opinion. Posters, radio, press, all tell you the same lies. The world is flat. Part 17. Your recreation is planned. It is no coincidence that sports and amusements have been carefully planned in all regimented nations. Once started, planners can't stop. Part 18. Your disciplining is planned. If you're fired from your job, it's apt to be by a firing squad. What used to be an error has now become a crime against the state. Thus ends The Road to Serfdom.